Hey, what's up guys, I'm Pratima and my team and I have been testing the OnePlus Nord CE5 for almost a week now. Last year's Nord CE4 was one of the best phones under 25,000 and this year OnePlus has brought some meaningful changes to the Nord CE5. At the same time, there are certain aspects that I was really hoping OnePlus would upgrade this year, which they haven't. So let me tell you all about the pros, the cons and my overall experiences with the OnePlus Nord CE5 in this video right here. Okay, let me start with one of the biggest upgrades OnePlus has brought this year, which is in the performance side of things. Last year on the Nord CE4, we got the Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 chip, which was fast for normal usage and you could game a little bit too. But this year, we get a proper performance-focused chipset, the Dimensity 8350 with LPDDR5 XRAM and UFS 3.1 storage. And thanks to that, the performance on the Nord CE5 is fast, whether you're multitasking with 10 apps at once, going through the UI or gaming. Titles like PUBG are smoothly playable here at 90 FPS with good 5% lows. If you're someone who plays Mobile Legends, you can easily get good FPS numbers too. It was only while playing more demanding games like Genshin Impact that the stability fluttered a bit after like 15 minutes into the game once or twice. Otherwise, the gaming performance here is quite good. Now, if I absolutely have to compare, the Poco X7 Pro and the GT30 Pro, which you can get for a similar price, have slightly better stability in games than the Nord CE5. But if you look at the temperature numbers, the Nord CE5 is able to remain a lot cooler. So for me, trading 1 or 2 FPS for 1 or 2 degrees seems like a better deal. Plus, OnePlus has also included a big vapor chamber cooling system here, which really helps with heat dissipation. As I showed you before in my gaming test, the phone never went beyond 43 degrees, which in this summer heat is quite chill, I would say. And this year, OnePlus has included something called bypass charging feature here too. So even if you play games for long hours while your phone is plugged in, the phone does not heat as much and it also helps with the durability of the battery itself. But even if you don't play games while charging, the huge 7100 mAh battery this phone has is really enduring. In my normal usage, I was getting almost 2 days of battery life with this phone, which is insane. On days I did more gaming and recorded a lot of videos, I got an entire day of use, which is better battery backup than almost all of the phones in this price range. And with the included 80-watt charger, the phone charges in around 1 hour and 10 minutes, which I think is reasonable enough. I also appreciate that the Nord CE5 isn't extremely heavy, even though it has a large battery inside. And the weight distribution here is considerably even, so holding this phone is not a muscle exercise either. Now, while I'm talking about the design, I can't help but point out how similar the Nord CE5 and the iPhone 16 look, especially this purple color variant that I have. The resemblance is uncanny. This is a plastic back with plastic frames, but the look and feel of this phone is quite good. OnePlus hasn't mentioned which glass protection they have used on the front though. I was really hoping for something along the lines of the Gorilla Glass 7i, but apparently not, so a good protective cover and a tempered glass is a must here. Okay, over to the front, I am really happy with the quality of this screen. The colors, the contrast here look really good, the 120Hz refresh rate is quite optimized, and this is a bright enough screen with decent high brightness numbers, so casually using the phone outdoors is not hard on the eyes. However, its peak brightness numbers are quite low if you compare it with the Motorola Edge 60 Fusion or the Nothing Phone 3a, at least on paper. But when I compared them side by side when watching an HDR video, there wasn't much difference. By the way, the Nord CE5 also supports HDR video playback on all OTT platforms, so the viewing experience here is good. And something else I have to point out is that the touch response on this phone is quite fast, so interacting with the screen feels instantaneous. The only thing I am a little sad about here is the vibration feedback on this phone is slightly buzzier than something like the Nothing Phone 3a and the Motorola Edge 60 Fusion. Turns out it's not an X-axis vibration motor that they have included here. Likewise, I also have good things to say about the software experience on the OnePlus Nord CE5. I did experience a few stutters in the UI before, but after the first update I received, all the tiny bugs were fixed. The good news is that OnePlus has upgraded the update policy to this time from 3+4 years on the Nord CE4 to 4+6 years on the Nord CE5, which means this device is quite future-proof too. Okay, lastly, let's talk about the cameras. And this is the area in which OnePlus has brought zero improvement, as they've used the same 50-megapixel LTY600 sensor, the same 8-megapixel OmniVision ultra-wide lens, and the same 16-megapixel front camera. As a result, the color optimization, the kind of shadow processing that we used to get with the Nord CE4 follows here as well. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that the Nord CE5 has bad cameras or something. No, I found its camera performance, especially the primary camera, to be on par with the Nothing Phone 3A like 90% of the time. In fact, during the night, I found OnePlus managing better highlights than the Nothing Phone 3A. It's only when shooting portraits that the Nothing Phone 3A does slightly better, because it has a dedicated lens which lets you zoom up to 4x for better subject focus. However, standalone, I wouldn't say the Nord CE5's portraits are bad. The phone could use an update or two to manage the shadows in the face better, but other than that, the portraits are decent enough. The selfies are not bad either, and the selfie videos look good too, but the catch is that you can only shoot up to 1080p 60fps selfie videos from this phone. So if you're someone who makes Instagram reels from the front camera, it might not be the sharpest. The main camera on the back supports 4K video recording though. I found the 4K 30fps video mode working the best for stable, well-balanced videos. The 4K 60fps mode has a slightly narrower field of view, and you will notice jitters every now and then. So unless you're using a gimbal, 4K 30fps is your best option here. The only thing that's downright average on the Nord CE5 is the ultra-wide-angle camera. The dynamic range in the ultra-wide photos is quite poor, and most of the time the details are muddy, especially during the night. So yeah, while I've had a pretty good experience with the Nord CE5 in almost all of the aspects of its camera, I was really hoping the company would upgrade the ultra-wide lens. I mean, I can live without the telephoto lens as long as there's a good primary camera, but the ultra-wide lens definitely could have been better. But overall, with all the time I've had with the Nord CE5, I can say that OnePlus has done a brilliant job of providing a balanced phone. If only the phone had a better vibration and ultra-wide lens, it actually would have been the perfect phone for around 25,000 rupees, because it ticks all the right boxes. We get a fast performance, nice design, great battery life, decent photo and videography prowess, nice OLED display, and reliable software. So yeah, despite the minor shortcomings, I believe the Nord CE5 is the most balanced, value-packed option in the sub 25,000 segment. Alright everybody, so that was all for our full review of the all-new OnePlus Nord CE5. What do you think about this phone? Would you go for it if you had a budget of like 25,000 rupees? Do let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon. Saying this, I'm Pratima and I will see you in my next video.